Hello everyone. So today in this session we are going to cover the topic which is 2.5 autumn, okay, on page number 50. So this is a poem which talks about the season autumn. Now students, what do you mean by autumn? It is basically a season which comes after summer and winter, okay? In this season it's greenery everywhere, like the leaves begin to fall. And it represents the new birth or the childhood, okay? And later on, when it is about to end, it represents adulthood and maturity, okay? So this poem was written by Kalidas in Sanskrit. Okay, so this is a poem which was written in Sanskrit by Kalidas, and the writer over here, the poet A.W. Ryder. Okay, he was the one who has translated this poem into English. Okay, and that is how he is the poet over here, the one who has transferred the Kalidas poem which was there in Sanskrit into English. Okay, now talking about this poem first, we'll just see that how many seasons we have in according to our Indian calendar. Fine, so first there is Vasant, which we call as a spring season. Okay, then there's Grishma, which is summer season. Then we have Varsha, which is a monsoon season, and then we have Sharad, which is autumn season. Okay, Ashwin and Kartik. So this is the main focus, the Sharad season, which we call according to our Indian calendar. This is the topic which we are going to cover today. And then we have Hemant. Hemant is pre-winter, and then we have Shirish, which is winter. Okay, now this poem is divided into two stanzas, as you all can see, right? The first one is something which describes how it basically describes the daytime of autumn season, that how days are there in autumn season, what all changes do we see in days, like the basic descriptions of days in autumn season. Fine. And the second paragraph is something which tells us about the night part, basically describes the night thing, that how weather is it during autumn in night time. Okay, so let us start with the poem. The autumn comes, a maiden fair, in slenderness and grace, with nodding rice stems in her hair, and lilies in her face. In flowers of grasses she is clad, and as she moves along, birds greet her with their cooing glad, like a bracelet's tickling song. A diadem adorns the night of multitudinous star. Her silken robe is white moonlight, set free from cloudy bars. And on her face the radiant moon, bewitching smiles are shown. She seems a slender maid, who soon will be a woman grown. Okay, now coming to the first part, the autumn comes, a maiden fair. Okay, what do you mean by maiden, students? Maiden is a young or a unmarried girl. Okay, so autumn कैसे आता है? It comes like an unmarried girl in slenderness and grace. Now what do you mean by slenderness? Slender is slim, okay, and grace is like with a beauty. Okay, so how a beautiful girl, I'll show a picture over here. So how this beautiful girl comes, okay, she's unmarried girl, she's a girl, so she's unmarried, she's slim and she's beautiful, and she's carrying that grace along with her, right? So the same way even autumn comes, like when autumn comes, autumn is being compared over here with a girl. Okay, so description वैसे दिया है, जैसे girl का दिया है, वैसे they have compared it with autumn, that how a beautiful girl is coming, she is slim, she's beautiful, and she has her grace. In the same way the autumn also comes. Autumn is also, basically it is compared that autumn is also slim and it has its own beauty, right? Whenever, as I said earlier, whenever it is autumn season, it is greenery everywhere. So autumn also has its beauty and also comes with a grace, with nodding rice stems in her hair and lilies in her face. Now what do you mean by rice stem? Rice stems are because see, the pictures are given in the textbook. Okay, so what does it means? That when during the autumn season the rice are actually ready for harvesting, and that is why they have been compared rice stem. Like they are saying, with noting rice stem in her hair, okay, like which means that rice grown in that season, and that beautiful girl has rice stems on her hairs. Okay, and lilies in her face. Okay, lilies also grow in that particular season, therefore lilies are also been involved. In flowers of grasses she is clad. Okay, she is clad. Clad is to wear. In flower of grasses means flowers are growing and it's greenery everywhere, and she is coming. Okay, like how the beautiful girl is coming, they're saying that she has this rice stem in her hair. Okay, and it's greenery everywhere, so she is also wearing the frock or this gown which is completely green vesa. Okay, like it has been compared that it is greenery everywhere, it is beautiful. That is how it has been compared. And as she moves along, and as autumn is coming, as she is also moving, and as autumn is coming, birds greet her with their cooing glad. Okay, cooing glad, what do you mean by cooing? Basically is to sing. So when she is coming, birds are singing. That is how it means. Birds greet her with their cooing glad like a bracelet's tinkling song. Okay, so जैसे कि it has been said that a girl is coming, she is wearing a bracelet. Okay, and the one which makes sounds, so that sound is like the tickling sound which has been given. Okay, tinkling song. So in the same way, like the girl is coming, she has wore a beautiful dress, she is very beautiful, she is very thin, she is carrying her own grace, and then when she is coming, along with her, the bracelet which she is wearing, that is making a tickling sound. In the same way, when autumn is coming, okay, so it's greenery everywhere, flowers are growing everywhere, and in that way the birds are greeting autumn. Okay, and they are very happy and they are making that chirping sound, and that is why it is said that cooking sound is made, cooking gland is used. Okay, so this was the description of the first part during daytime. Okay, the daytime it's greenery everywhere, flowers are growing, lilies are growing, rice are growing. Okay, so this was the description during daytime, that how a day looks in the season of autumn. Now they are going to describe about the night time, that how night looks. Okay, a diadem adorns the night of multitudinous star. Okay, what do you mean by diadem, student? Diadem is a crown. Okay, so that girl is wearing a crown, adorns the night. That crown is actually shining in the night. Okay, of multitudinous star. Okay, multitudinous is the one which cannot be counted, uncountable stars. So कैसे compare किया है stars, मतलब अभी basically autumn में night के time पे the sky is completely clear and you can see uncountable stars in the sky. Okay, because in rainy season the clouds are there. Okay, cloudy रहता है ऊपर का climate, so that is why you cannot see the stars. But when it is autumn, the clouds are not there and the sky is completely clear and you can count the stars. In the same way they are saying that अभी वो गर्ल के साथ कंपेयर किया, तो गर्ल के साथ कैसे कंपेयर किया? दैट गर्ल इज कैरिंग अ ब्यूटिफुल, इज वेयरिंग अ ब्यूटिफुल क्राउन with crown on her, and that crown is shining. Okay, shining like a moonlight. Her silken robe is white moonlight. Okay, the one which she is wearing, her silken robe is white moonlight. It is shining because of moonlight. Moonlight matlab white. Okay, so that robe is shining because of moonlight. And set free from cloudy bars. As I said earlier, bars over here is patches, students. जो patches होते हैं मतलब कैसा होता है? As I said earlier that in rainy season the sky is full of clouds. Okay, so you cannot see stars. But when it is autumn season, the sky is completely clear, there are no cloudy bars. Cloudy bars is dark patches, cloudy is clouds, and patches is bars. Bars is patches. तो clouds के patches नहीं होते sky में. The sky is completely clear and one can count, like one can see innumerable stars. So that is what they are saying, that her silken robe, the gown which she is wearing, is shining in the moonlight and the sky is completely clear and you can see the stars out there. Set free from cloudy bars, and on her face the radiant moon Bewitching smiles are shown. Bewitching is attractive. And when you see all of these things, okay, the moonlight, when you see falling on her, she's smiling very beautifully. Means what? The night time is beautiful. Moonlight hoti hai halki si, which is shining on plants, flowers, and they are also attractive to watch. She seems a slender maid who soon will be a woman grown. Okay, and कैसा हो रहा है? She seems like a slender maid. Now what do you mean by slender? As I said earlier, it is thin, and maid is basically, we call a person who helps her in a household work, but over here maid is unmarried girl. Okay, so she seems a thin unmarried girl as of now, but who soon will be a woman grown. Okay, but who soon will become a mature girl. As I said earlier, that autumn, it represents new birth and childhood, right? But later on, as it comes to end and a new season starts, it represents adulthood and maturity. So that girl who's now a unmarried girl will soon become mature, and then she'll become a woman. Understood? What does the chapter means? What does the poem explains? The first part was a morning part, that how plants are happy, there are greenery everywhere, rice are grown, flowers are grown, and that has been compared to a girl, that a girl is coming, she is wearing a white gown, she is very beautiful, she has her own grace. Okay, and in the second part it is shown the night part during autumn season, that girl is wearing a crown which is shining very brightly, which means the sky is completely clear in the night time in the autumn season, and one can see innumerable stars in the sky. Okay, and that shine of moonlight is falling on her face, and that is shining, and that is very attractive. In the same way, the moonlight is falling on plants and on plants and flowers, and that is how they are also shining, and that is very attractive to watch. And this girl, who's a unmarried girl right now, as the season end, would turn into a mature woman. Okay, like what does it means? Basically, the flowers and all of them are growing, but as the season end, वो अच्छे से grow हो जाते हैं, वैसा समझा? So this was the poem. Yeah, coming to page number page number 49. What changes? The sub question 1. Okay, what changes do you see in nature in each of the following seasons? Okay, a few sentences are given below as example. Use this and your own to describe season approximately. Okay, so first, night becomes longer and days are shorter. Okay, we usually see that, right? In winter what happens is, अभी आपको हर सीजन के अकॉर्डिंगली यू हैव टू राइट विच सेंटेंसेस विल मिक्स इन द पैसेज गिवन बिलो. लाइक अभी समझो विंटर आप एग्जांपल दे रहे हो, तो ये सारे जो पॉइंट्स दिए हैं उसमें से विंटर पे कौन सा सूट होगा वो आपको मेंशन करना है, प्लस यू हैव टू ऐड योर ओन पॉइंट्स. सो इन विंटर यू कैन से दैट नाइट बिकम्स लॉन्गर एंड डेज बिकम शॉर्टर, राइट? एंड देन वी सी मिस्ट इन द मॉर्निंग. ये फर्स्ट पॉइंट हमने खुद से डाला, अभी इसमें से ऊपर से विच वी कैन सिलेक्ट, वी सी मिस्ट इन द मॉर्निंग, राइट? एंड देयर इज हाइबरनेशन. व्हाट डू यू मीन बाय दैट? दैट अ स्टेट विच रिसेंबल्स स्लीप where the animal remains inactive. Okay, usually they are in their shell, remaining so until summer arrives. So this is the part which we see during winters. Now talking about summer. Okay, summer में the points which you can include is the sun shines brighter than before, right? ये point हमने ऊपर से लिया, that the sun shines brighter than before. What else can you write according to you? The changes which you see in the nature, that migratory birds return. Okay, the birds also return. Then trees blossom, and humidity in the air increases, basically, right? दो season हम लोग ने किया, summer and winter. Now rest of them, like monsoon हो गया, this would be your homework. Okay, so the changes which you see in nature during monsoon season you have to write as homework. Now coming towards the warming up session. Name the 6 season according to the Indian calendar, and which of the season when the season changes, write with the reference to the clothes. You have to write it with the reference given to clothes. Yeah, name the 6 season according to the Indian calendar and which of the season is equivalent to autumn. As we have discussed earlier, I have already said you which all seasons we have. And Sharad Ritu, the what is the equivalent of autumn? So you have to write it on your own. What do you think? What would be the equivalent of autumn? The one which we have seen in the poem. क्या क्या changes होता है, you have to write. Okay, so that would be again your homework. Now coming towards the next part, what changes do we see in life of human beings when the season changes? What are the changes you do according to the seasons? Okay, write the reference to there. In respect to clothes, what changes happens in respect to clothes, in respect of diet, and in respect of celebration. Okay, so I'll discuss one season, baki ke remaining 2 seasons it would be a homework. So talking about clothes in summer, okay, in summer season we wear cotton clothes, right? People mostly wear caps and goggles during summer. In the winter season, okay, what I'll do is, see, for clothes I'll describe all of the seasons. For diet and celebration, सब season का आपको लिखना है. Fine. So for clothes in summer season we wear cotton clothes. People mostly wear caps and goggles during summer. This is the part. Now talking about winter season. विंटर में क्या होता है? इन विंटर वी वेयर स्वेटर्स, मफलर्स एक्सेट्रा टू प्रोटेक्ट द बॉडी फ्रॉम कोल्ड, राइट? We wear sweaters, mufflers, etc. to protect our body from cold, right? So this is the thing which happens in winter, that in winter season we wear sweater, mufflers, etc. And in monsoon season we wear clothes made from synthetic material as they dry up quickly. Okay, so all of the main 3 seasons unka cloth ka description I have given. Now talking about diet in all of these 3 seasons and talking about celebration in all of these 3 seasons would be your homework, student. Understood? Next question. What changes? Yeah, okay, fine. Celebrations and all is also your homework. Now guess what is personified and fill in the gaps. Choose from the brackets. Okay, the very dash was also petrol hunger. Now basically the words are given and you have to select what it can be. So the very car was also petrol hunger, right? The playful dash whistled among the trees. The playful wind whistled among the trees. The annoying dash screamed at 5 a.m. The annoying alarm screamed at 5 a.m. Rest of them would be your homework, students. Understood? You just have to pick the words accordingly which suits the sentence. Now coming towards factual questions. Okay. First one, why is autumn called a maiden fair? Now why do you think that autumn is called maiden fair? Okay, why it has been compared to a girl? Autumn comes in slenderness and grace. Like a young woman, she has beautified herself by having nodding rice steams in her hand and lilies in her face. She is dressed in flowers of grass and hence she is called as a maiden fair. Understood, students? Next question. What is the cooing of birds compared to? What do you think it is being compared to? It is compared to the tickling of the bracelet. How does autumn dress up at night would be your homework. Now, first question, find 3 lines that contain images of nature in the autumn season. During daytime, you have to write 3 things which happens. हम लोग ने बहुत सारे changes देखे, right? उसमें से you have to write any 3 things which happens in daytime and what happens in night time. Again, this would be your homework. Okay. Now, sub question 2. Pick out the words from the poem that describe the following. Okay. Poetic words के हिसाब से and the one which you feel you should add over there. So the autumn, it is given a maiden fair in poem, right? What do you think? You can write your own word. A beautiful maiden, right? सेम उसी को खाली अपने वर्ड्स में लिखना था. मेडन फेयर लाइक इट इज़ लाइक अ ब्यूटिफुल गर्ल. सो अ ब्यूटिफुल मेडन यू कैन राइट. नाउ stars are multitudinous. As I said, it is known as uncountable. So you can write numerous stars. Okay. Now for moon, moonlight and cooing of birds is something which you'll write as homework. Now talking about example, sub question 1, sub question 3. Find one example of each of the following from the poem. Now simile. Simile is when two objects are compared and words like as or like is used. Okay, and comparison is done between two objects, then we say it as simile. And what is metaphor, students? Metaphor is comparison is done between two objects, but उसमें कैसा होता है, सिमिली में there is comparison done between two objects and both of them have a similar quality and words like as and like is used. But in metaphor there is only comparison between two objects, no common character is used. So for example of simile, what you can write is, see, birds greet her with their cooing gland like a bracelet tickling song. Okay, so what happens over here is direct comparison of cooing is done with bracelets thinking, right? And which word is used over there? Like is used. So this is the example of simile. Now talking about metaphor, also this example, birds greet her with cooing glad like a bracelet tickling song. Also this figure of speech is onomatopoeia. Okay, why onomatopoeia? Because the sentences in which sounds are represent is called as onomatopoeia. Okay, the figure of speech in which sounds are being described is called onomatopoeia, and over here tickling word is used and therefore this becomes onomatopoeia because word representing sound tickling is being used. Okay, and talking about metaphor, her silken robe is white moonlight. Okay, so here over here silken robe is indirectly compared with my white moonlight. Okay, खाली दो comparison किया है, not a words, not a common characteristics is used, and thus it is metaphor. Understood, student? Now coming towards next part. Write the rhyme scheme of the poem. What is the rhyme scheme of the poem over here, student? The pattern of rhymes. What is rhyme scheme basically? Okay, the pattern of rhymes. Let us see. Let us come to poem to understand it clearly. What is the question? Write the rhyme scheme of the poem and refer to the language study pages. Okay, with the pages which are at the end of your textbook. It is there on page number 117 of your textbook. What is rhyme scheme? You all know that it is basically a pattern of rhymes which is used in the poem at the end of line in each stanza. इसका मीनिंग आपको देखो आपके टेक्स्ट बुक में पेज नंबर 117 पे दिया है. This pattern of rhyme shows with the help of letters and alphabet as A, A, B, B and stuff like that. Okay, now talking about our poem. What do you think? What is the rhyming scheme of our poem? The autumn comes with a maiden fair with nodding rice steam in her hair. Okay, so this would become fair and hair. So A आ जाएगा बराबर. फिर clad, then and lilies in her face, the face will become B. So first paragraph ka first four lines would be A B, right? Second, in flowers of grey she is clad, so that would be C, and as she moves along will become D. Clad and along, and then clad and glad is same, so C for clad, G for glad को भी C हो जाएगा, तो C and along and song which rhymes again and that will become DD. Okay, so in flowers से लेके tickling song तक का rhyming scheme would be CD CD. Okay, so it is A B C D. Now talking about a diadem, slenders along the night, adorns along the night, so night will again become E, stars F, moonlight and night are matching, so again E, and bars and stars are matching, so again F. Okay, so ये चार लाइन का क्या होगा? EF. Okay, and the next one would be GH. Understood? This would be the rhyme scheme of the poem. Now sub question 5. Think and write in your own words. Why is the maid in autumn said to wear rice steams in her hair? Okay, rice steams in her hair. Why do you think it is being said that she is wearing white steams in her hair? Second, okay, why do you think? पहले तो ये, as I said, कि it is the time where rice are ready for harvesting. So you have to write the same thing. That I think that in the beginning of autumn, the harvesting of the rice crop is already completed, and so the maiden autumn is said to wear rice steams in her hair. Understood? Second question. How can the tender maiden autumn becomes a full growth woman? Q, as I said, that starting it represents growing, but lastly it shows maturity. So in the beginning of autumn, she is a tender maiden. Now we know that plants shed their leaves in the beginning of the season, but towards the end of the season, plant starts fruiting, and so she becomes a full grown woman. Okay, it implies that time has been past. Understood the first one and the second one, student? Now the third one. Why do you think birds greet the autumn season gladly? This is something which would be your homework. Why do you think? You have to write it on your own. Coming to sub-question 6, compare the Indian monsoon season to a powerful king of a prosperous kingdom. Write down a few similarities and use them to compose on your poem. Okay, so you just have to consider it as a monsoon ko as a king ke hisab se, and then you have to write things which describes it. So this is something which is interesting. I think you can write it down. Use them to compose a poem. वो अगर आपको जमता है तो you can do. You just have to compare those words and compose it in the form of poem. You can do that if you wish, but first part you have to write things about it कि अगर वो मानसून एक ये होगा, किंग होगा, तो कैसे वो डिस्क्राइब करेगा, वो आपको लिखना है. So yeah, that was it. I guess we have covered all the questions. Yeah, one more meta figure of speech was pending, which was on page number, the first line, the autumn comes a maiden fair. Okay, so autumn is compared over here with maiden, so that becomes metaphor. Rest of the figures of speech is something which we have covered it in the chapter. So yeah, that was it for today's session, students. I hope you have understood the chapter clearly, the poem clearly, the meaning of it, how they have described the autumn season in this poem. Fine. So that's it for today's session, students. We'll meet you in the next session. Till then, bye bye and take care. Bye.